Hello there, my friend. Welcome to this video. I am Abiola Abrams, and this video is where we are going to talk about the frequently asked questions for my new book, The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love. Okay, but before we get into that, I just want to tell you that this video is being made with love, especially for you, whoever you are, and for the readers of the African American Literary Book Club, the AALBC. And the AALBC, they are an incredible organization that promotes the diversity of books. Great site. You can go there and buy books and peruse. You don't have to be African American. You don't even have to be literary. You just have to be a book lover and interested in finding a book. And the reason why I'm dedicating this video to them is that they were very supportive with my first book, my debut novel, Dare, which was published many years ago. This is actually the copy that was re-released 2 years ago. Walmart did a re-release of the book, and here is my beat up tour copy. It was in bigger format at first, and then now it's smaller, but it's the same book. Same exact book. And now we are all about, Dare was about a sociologist who is learning to love herself, and The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love is a personal development and advice guide about you empowering yourself to live your biggest, bombshell, juicy, most sacred life. All right, so I'm going to answer frequently asked questions about my new book. And so thank you so much for hanging out with me on this hangout. Okay, so, all right. Frequently asked questions. Some of these questions came from book clubs, from reading groups, actually of all backgrounds. One was from a Jewish book club. This book is a book specifically for women, but whoever you are, I promise that you will find value in it. Okay, so number one frequently asked question, who are you, what's your background, and why did you write this book? Okay, so The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love, the subtitle of the book is The 11 Forbidden Secrets of Feminine Power. That I am a first-generation American. I am the first person in my family born in this country, and the first legal American in my family, I'm proud to say. My parents and everyone else is from Guyana in South America. And I say that I'm a fourth-generation empowerment specialist. And what that means is that for many generations, my family has been in the business of empowering people, although they didn't use this language that we're using here now, obviously. That my great-great-grandmother, her name was Catherine, and even just saying her name is powerful to me, invoke her energy, and she was known as Ma. She was a woman's fertility healer and a midwife in Guyana, and so I say that, she helped women to give birth to babies, and I help women to give birth to themselves. That is my purpose. I am, the midwife for your life, so to speak. And then the next generation after her, I can hear my Guyanese accent coming out a little bit as I'm talking about my family, which is kind of funny. So like I said, I was born here. But many people in my family have very strong Guyanese accents, stronger than my mother, and they were born here. Then in the next generation, Auntie, who raised my mother, she had a home that was known as the White House, which was kind of a de facto boarding house, bed and breakfast, where it was on the line, the railroad line, and anybody knew that they could come and get advice and a hot meal and conversation at the White House, and that's where my mother was raised. And then in my parents' generation, my mother was a teacher, and my father is a minister and a journalist. And so you can see how, I left out my grandparents on both sides were farmers. And so you can see how what I do is literally the culmination of all of this work that, the people who've come before me have done. And so that is my background. And then my own personal story is, like many of you, I'm sure, that I've had to overcome all kinds of adversities and challenges that are taboo, particularly in communities of color, to talk about. My entire family was bullied when I grew up because we were not from here. I was told often, go back to my country, although this is my country. We were bullied by children and adults, which was difficult to say the least. I had raging eczema everywhere on my body and would scratch my skin until it bled, which only recently I came to realize was a form of self-harm that I also have, dealt with and overcome, and am in recovery from a history of disordered eating. And so, there have been a lot of things, not to mention, having had a marriage that failed marriage, which I put in quotes because I think that, ultimately there's no such real thing as failure. We've only produced a result and learned that that's not the way to do that. And so, a big part of what I've always done with all of the work that I do is helping to give a language to women's issues and the things that we deal with. And so through the use of words and broadcast, that has been the work that I have done forever and ever. That I am also now a certified coach, in addition to having my master's degree in women's storytelling. And so I have used books and blogs and columns, as well as TV and films and videos, to be able to empower and uplift us, sometimes, with humor, or, sometimes like with this book, in a very, very serious manner, because we're talking about serious things. We're talking about you living your biggest, juiciest life, and that is no small thing. We are talking about you knowing that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That is no small thing. We are talking about, a self-love crisis that I have seen, certainly in my community, in a micro way and at large. And so that's why I wrote this book. All right. Let me get to the second question. I have more to say on that, but we'll get to the second question. I'll come back to that. All right. So number 2. Okay, these are great questions. What is a sacred bombshell? All right. This is a really, really good question. And it goes into a little bit of why I wrote this book. That as I was working with women one-on-one, coaching women one-on-one about, whatever it is, whether it was dealing with their relationship challenges or their body image, wanting to lose weight or gain weight, or whatever reason they hated their bodies, or wanting to be larger, and have a larger voice in the world, but having fears around that, I started to realize that, that there really is a self-love or self-esteem, solution for every problem. And so, with this book, I wanted to redefine the way that we are looking at ourselves. And so I have reclaimed the word bombshell to mean a woman who loves, honors, adores, and accepts herself, mind, body, and spirit. And so, of course, that includes traditional bombshells like Halle Berry and, Marilyn Monroe and Beyonce, and people who are bombshells in that way that we think of the word in terms of sexual connotations or desirability. But I am reclaiming the word to mean something greater, that a sacred bombshell, a bombshell, the way that I see it, is a woman like, Maya Angelou, who I write about in the book, Zora Neale Hurston, who I write about in the book, Josephine Baker, who I write about in the book, that, and you, but it's just all about us claiming that power, claiming that strength, claiming that, power that we have inside, and not being so externally focused that we think that, that our strength comes from, what am I doing with my hair, or are my nails done? When I ask women, do they have a self-care practice, they talk about massages and nails and getting their hair done and all kinds of stuff. And that's great, that's nice, but I'm talking about your inner care practice. Are you meditating or praying or, using other healing modalities? Are you examining who you are and where you've been and where you want to go and figuring out the best way to do that? And so that's what this book is about. And the subtitle, is all about us stepping into our feminine power and feminine energy. That women, we are magical beings on this planet, and we forget that. And so a big part of this book was reclaiming a lot of, my African-derived, Guyanese, South American, indigenous woman wisdom and putting it on the page for you to remember that you are a freaking miracle walking on this planet, and that you can really have anything that you want if you step into it and claim it and accept it. Again, more to say on that, but I will leave it there. Of course, check me out at abiolatv.com, where TV stands for Transformation and Victory, or my YouTube channel, where I can go deeper into some of these issues. Okay, so frequently asked question number 3. All right. Okay, we touched on this a little bit. What is a self-love crisis? Because I talk in the book about there being a self-love crisis. Okay, so I feel like so many of us, and I see you, on the subways. I live in New York, so we're all in close proximity of each other, or when I'm visiting other cities, to speak in our cars or wherever it is, in the grocery, in the supermarket, just looking what I call stressed, depressed, and well-dressed. I actually call it a dry life crisis, that women are suffering, and we don't know why. That studies show that women are more unhappy now as a group than 40, 50 years ago, when, before there was, the right to do all of the things that were fought for. And this is particularly upsetting for me as an African-American woman, as an Afro-Caribbean woman, as a woman of color, and as a woman in general. That it's about us shining light on the taboos, the taboo things that, kind of keep us small, keep us feeling like we can't rise into our shine. For some people, that's depression. So for some people, that is anxiety. It's all kinds of things that people don't feel comfortable talking about. And I say, let's talk about it. Let's heal. Let's shine a light on it. And so that's what a self-love crisis is. It looks like different things for different women. And so, for some women, a self-love crisis might look like you are in a relationship and you can't leave. That's the number one question that I get to my Essence Advice column. Why can't I leave? You're in a relationship that no longer serves you, and you can't leave. For some people, it may be, body image issues, which we all have to some degree or another when every commercial is telling us what's wrong with our weight. Real women look like this or look like that or whatever, and, people are getting cosmetic surgery, and, and I'm all for a woman's right to do whatever she wants with her body, but you have to start with your mind, start with your heart, figure out who you are and why you got there, and, how you can love yourself greater to have the things that you want. For some people, a self-love crisis might look like a receptivity issue, where you are unable to receive a compliment, good things, money, abundance, whatever it is. For some people, that self-love crisis might look like you're just angry and just unable to deal with, the things that maybe have happened to you, the very real traumas that you have experienced. I'm big on coining language. I have something I talk about in the book called post-traumatic love disorder, with a lot of us who are unhealed. And it comes out in different ways. I mean, right now, as I'm making this video for you, as a self-love coach, I'm looking like, oh my gosh, TMI. But, it's like, okay, at the time of the month I'm in, when I'm in where I am in my cycle, my face is like all swollen and my hair looks like this or whatever. And, there are all kinds of reasons we can come up with to hate ourselves, but I'm about us coming up with reasons to love ourselves, because that is where the juice is. That is where the good stuff is. That is, this whole self-love movement is about us refusing to play small, about us rising into our shine, and that is what we are doing. Okay, moving along. All right, question number 4. What healing modalities do you use in the book? Because you know, in the book I talk about, I use, not only there are exercises, that this book really, there will be a workbook to accompany it, but this book really functions as a workbook, because after every chapter and in between every chapter, there are not only resources, but exercises to do, healing modalities that are built into the book. So when I say healing modalities, I mean tools that you use to heal. So journaling is a big one that I use. Affirmations is another big one. Meditation and chakra healing. Now, don't get scared. Don't want to lose my people here. Chakras are just your energy centers in your body. Like Dr. Maya Angelou said, that, you know, there's going to come a point where that energy is measurable, and I believe that with my whole heart. We can feel it. We know it. You can tell when somebody is looking at you across the room, and you think of someone and then they call you or get in touch with you. And so that's all that means. Don't be scared off by the language. And EFT, emotional freedom technique, that's a form of acupressure that I use a lot with my one-on-one coaching clients and talk about in the book. And so these are some of the healing modalities that you can use to learn how to feel comfortable with who you are and rise into your shine, and not in a superficial way. This is not about a fake it till you make it approach. Of course, do what you got to do, but this is about you really realizing that the same mindset that created an issue for you is not the same mindset that will solve it. And so you learning how to be able to then be who you really came to this planet to be. Yes. Okay. Question 5. Where to find the book? Okay, you can find this book wherever you buy books. It's named The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love by Abiola Abrams. Of course, you can find it online at aalbc.com. That's the African American Book Club, or Kush City. All of the book club, big book club sites have it. Of course, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, all of those places. iTunes, an audiobook is coming soon, but right now you can buy it for iBooks, Kindle, whatever reading device you use. And you can just go into your regular local bookstore. Also check out Human site. We're all supportive of, you know, each other. If you go into your regular bookstore, give them either my name and they can put it in the computer, or ask for The Sacred Bombshell Handbook of Self-Love if you don't see it on the shelf, and ask them to order it to you to the store. You know, ask them to order a couple of copies, and then, you know, buy one, and there will be another one for someone else. And so I just want to thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned to my site for all kinds of things that will help you along with your self-love journey and help you to stop playing small and become the woman, or however you define yourself, that you were born to be. All right, thanks for watching. If no one has told you, I love you. Dream bigger, and most importantly, love yourself. Woo! Sacred Bombshells unite.